Welcome in, everybody, to the XFL Fantasy Central podcast. I'm your host, Rod Villagomez. You can find me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Find the show on Twitter at XFL Fantasy Cast. We strap in, folks. We got a great show for you today. We are going to talk a little bit about what's been going on lately in the news as far as fantasy and a bunch of the roster cuts and stuff that were supposedly going on. We're going to announce a listener league and how you can get in on it on Alt Fantasy Sports, so pay attention to that. And then the main course is that we welcome in Rachael Van Oranje. She covers the Houston Roughnecks for ESPN Radio out there in Houston, and she has got a wealth of knowledge about the Houston Roughnecks offensive weapons and their fantasy potential. So that is a great conversation that we have. And yeah, man, you're going to learn quite a bit from Rachael. It was a great talk. So, all right, let's just get this show started because I want you to hurry up and get to the good stuff. You never truly know how information-starved a fan base is until they start speculating on everything that's going on. And I got to tell you right now, that is the XFL scene right now, especially the XFL fantasy scene, as there is so much talk going on about what and how and who and everything about the season-long fantasy options for the XFL. And right now, if you, I hear so many things, and I know that there's a lot of people in there in the community that have contacts that know and talk to people, but nobody knows anything really concrete right now, and everybody's being tight-lipped about it for the most part. And maybe by the time this episode hits, there'll be some sort of announcement. But right now, guys, we don't know. Like, the only place that we actually know that there's leagues going on is on altfantasysports.com. Okay. And I know that there's a lot of people that are saying, well, whoa, there's not an app. And, I'm not going to play if there's not an app. That's fine. Whatever. It's not for you then. But I will say that Alt Fantasy Sports has done a very good job of stepping up their game and offering this to us. I mean, if you want to do it on your own, that's fine. Go ahead. No one's judging you at all for it. But the fact of the matter is that they've got somebody right now that's set up to do this. And so you should take advantage of it if you want to play season long. But right now, I mean, there's people that have tweeted Yahoo, there's people that have tweeted ESPN, and their service desks are giving the right answers. I get it. I mean, I see it. I see what the answers are, and I see what they're saying, and they're leaving the door open for the possibility that at some point they'll have it. But all I've ever read and all I read into this is, no, we're not offering it right now. And let's talk about just the way that this is happening. Okay. We're a couple of weeks away from kickoff right now, right? February 8th is when we get to see live action. And if you're telling me that a platform like Yahoo or ESPN is waiting for next week to launch their season-long options, I think that's crazy. I really think from a marketing standpoint, it doesn't make any sense to just launch the week before. And from just an actual gameplay standpoint, because you got to give people time to draft. You got to give people time to do. And I get the reasons why. I understand that the rosters aren't set yet and that they won't even be announced until Monday. That's fine too. But at least announce that you're going to be offering it so people can start signing up for it right now. If you're only giving people a week's lead time, it's not a lot of time to react. And in the world of marketing, you want to be out there first. You want to be out there before anybody to get that market share. And so if you're waiting this long to announce it, from a marketing standpoint, that's horrible. That's terrible. And look, please prove me wrong. I want Yahoo, ESPN, whatever platform they're playing on, please prove me wrong, because I want another option as well. I love Alt Fantasy Sports, don't get me wrong, but I'm a fantasy junkie and I'll play wherever there's an opportunity to play. And again, with the app in the works, that's another thing too for everybody that wants to play on an app. I do hear that Alt Fantasy Sports might be coming up with an app. And as a matter of fact, I've lined up an interview with them. We just got to set the time so they can talk about it, and maybe we'll get them on the next episode before everything gets going. But right now, again, if you want to play season long fantasy XFL, Alt Fantasy Sports has the leagues going right now. And in fact, a little bit along those lines, I'm starting a listener league. All right. I've already got members that are lined up for this listener league, but I want you. I got 2 spots left in this listener league. All right. I got opportunities for you to play season long on Alt Fantasy Sports. So here's what I want you to do. All right. To get in this league, in this listener league, you need to get on your favorite, podcast app or whatever you listen to podcasts. And I want you to leave a review. Preferably a 5-star. You don't got to be a 5-star. I know that, not everybody likes to leave. There's people out there that are just curmudgeons and don't want to leave 5-star reviews. But if you would like to leave a 5-star review, that would be much appreciated. And I definitely would like to see what you think of the show. But leave a review. Take a screenshot of it and tell me that you did it, and then you will get entered into the opportunity to be in the show. You can be like Ricky Wilson, who is one of the members of the show, and he left a review, and it was actually a 5-star review, and he says, Rod is an absolute encyclopedia of XFL knowledge. He is the king with such pinpoint answers to questions you might have with this new and exciting league coming up. Such a great voice that brings such high energy to the plate. I vote this the 1.01 of all football podcasts and highly recommend you to subscribe and listen. You will be glad you did. Aw. If I had the blushing face emoji, I would have that right now. But thank you so much, Ricky, for that awesome 5-star rating. And listen, I just opened this up now and saw another 5-star rating. I'm so bad kind of at looking at ratings because I don't feel like I ever get them. So I'm just happy to get one. So Bruno H 212 or 1212. If you're listening to this show, which obviously you do, consider yourself the 4th member. Now only have one spot left, or the 5th member rather. Now only have one spot left. So let me know because I want you to be in the league now. And then I'll only have one. So if you leave a 5-star review or if you leave a review, then you'll be battling for the last spot in the listener league. But so he says that Rod is the man. He's got a proven track record with the CFL, and now he's pouring his efforts into the XFL. Can't wait to listen to more ahead of daily fantasy contests going live. That's true. I tell you, Bruno, it's coming up, and we are just right around the corner from DraftKings opening up. And here's the thing about that too. Let's get back to the meat of the subject. But okay, so let's close up the loop here on the league. So if you want in the listener league, now there's only one spot left. So Bruno, please claim your spot on Twitter. Let me know that you left it and who you are, and we're going to put you in that 5th spot. So right now we have Miles Daly in the league. We have Jake Hripp. We have Josh Robbins, Ricky Wilson, and now whoever Bruno is, Bruno H1212, please claim your spot. But we got one opening now. So one opening for the league. Make sure that you leave a review to get in on the action. So, wow. Okay. So now that's come, the fantasy, daily fantasy aspect of it, we talked a lot in the first couple episodes about DraftKings being the only spot right now that's announced it. And that kind of made me think about also the fact that if there was going to be a season-long option announced anytime soon, that it would have already been announced. DraftKings announced it. They haven't obviously put together their actual contests yet, because here's the thing. The rules just barely came out a little bit ago. And obviously, like we said, rosters needed to be finalized. But here's the thing as well. With the rules being the way they are, big platforms, they have to be ready to handle a huge load. And I don't know that the designers or the people that are in charge of that, I don't know if they are ready for that kind of turnaround, especially after NFL, which is why Alt Fantasy Sports, and look, they're not paying me, but I'm just telling you right now that they're the option that's out there. And they are the ones that have they've turned around and they've changed the rules and they've made all the adjustments necessary for us to play season-long fantasy. So if you're turning your nose up at it, then I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. You're probably just not going to go with XFL Fantasy this season because you obviously don't, support the people that actually are doing the things that you want them to do. And so, I for one am grateful to the folks at Alt Fantasy Sports for even doing this because they're not getting paid for it either. This is all out of the graciousness and for the love of football and for the love of fantasy football. So I'm definitely a supporter of them. But again, DraftKings, FanDuel, I know that they have the FanDuel FanDuel XFL tabs, but they're not going to probably offer any contests. So if you're holding out hope for FanDuel, I don't know that you're going to get it as well. So I guess my overall message on all of this is stop being picky. Stop holding out hope for stuff. I mean, listen, again, I want to be proven wrong. I want to play on all kinds of platforms as well. But if you're going to cry for fantasy football, then go where it's at right now. You know, enjoy the fact that people are offering this to you. Or if you just want to do it yourself, but you don't have to. That's my point. You got people now that are going to do it for you. So just roll with it, you know? So let's talk a little bit about this alt fantasy sports stuff going on. Now, so when it comes to how the rosters are being constructed, okay, it's sort of normal. You can, and actually, if you start a league, you have the ability to change the how you want the roster spots to even look. So right now, there's quarterbacks, obviously, in a 6-person, and that's where I think the sweet spot is. As if I get sidetracked anymore in this conversation. Can you follow it? I hope so. Because there's a lot of people wondering, should you do 6 persons? Should you do 8? I know one gentleman is got like, I don't know, 16 teams in 4 conferences and doing one of those gigantic, you know how the NFL, how they do those 100 and some odd team leagues where everybody's got, you know, a team, but they're all spread out over 5 different conferences or whatever. I'm not going to get that fancy, only because we want to have fun, and it's kind of hard to have fun being a commissioner of a league where you have 16 different owners and there's only 8 teams in the league. So we're sticking with 6. That way, at least there might be a quarterback floating around or 2 in case of injury or in case of something happening. So yeah, you're only allowed to roster 1 quarterback at all. But now I've also heard, and I'll confirm this on Twitter, so keep an eye open on Twitter, but by the end of the weekend, Alt Fantasy will have a team quarterback option. And that's why I'm kind of holding off on actually starting the listener league. I'm getting the members, but I don't want to start until at least next week when Alt Fantasy Sports has everything put in place. And that way I can start the league and not have to worry about tinkering with it later. So if they add that team quarterback, that will be a gigantic help because now you're not worrying about rostering just 1 quarterback from a team. You have the opportunity to roster the entire, so whoever they go with over the whole season, you're going to get points for that quarterback. So that's definitely helpful. And why is that helpful? Well, because guess what? If the quarterback does go down in the middle of the game, you're not, feeling around for the backup and trying to, just miss out on the whole thing. So yeah, anyways, and then there's running back slots, receiver slots, tight end slots, flex spots, kickers, and defenses. Now, I'm pretty sure that in my league, we are not going to have kickers and we are not going to have defense. And again, it's not because I said, I said that kickers, while important and while they kick field goals, just not going to have much, I guess, value past that. And field goals are going to be, I think, few and far between in this game. So we won't go defenses either because it's hard to go defense when there's only 8 teams. It's just too much of a crapshoot. So we'll figure out how to divvy it up there. And then of course you can also set the points per everything. So on Alt Fantasy Sports, it lets you customize the whole doggone thing and they keep the stats for you. So come on, how much easier is it going to be to play season-long fantasy? I know you want an app. I know you think apps are sexy, but I guarantee you're still going to have the same type of fun playing on Alt Fantasy. So, all right, listen, I'm telling you right now, that is where our listener league is going to be. That is where I'm comfortable saying you should go play. And if you're listening to this, then by all means, please go play on Alt Fantasy Sports. If you want to be in the listener league, listen, if there's a big enough demand, I'll be willing to start a second one. I'm not going to play in the listener league because I want you guys to have fun. And I don't want to be, I don't want to be another team in there. So I want it to be filled with listeners and for you guys to have a good time. But, I guess if the demand is high enough, maybe I'll start another one and I'll jump in. So we'll see. But anyways, the takeaways from this, go leave a review on Apple, on Google, on Dasher, on Dancer. Just go leave a review and I will put you in the entries to join all of the folks that are already in the league. and we can play some XFL fantasy footballs, XFL season-long fantasy, which is right around the corner, guys. I'm telling you, it's crazy. All right, a lot of moves that went on too, so we'll talk about that in the next segment. On Twitter this week, there was a quick little video interview with Oliver Luck, commissioner, obviously, of the XFL, and he alluded to the fact that all of the rosters were going to have to be cut down by Wednesday, which was the date that everybody said that the 52-man rosters were going to be set. So I know I was amongst a bunch of people thinking that we were going to learn those rosters on Wednesday, and it turns out, no, we did not, because guess what? This league knows how to tease. And they said, yes, our rosters are supposed to be trimmed down by Wednesday, but you won't know what they are until Monday, which again goes to the whole having a hard time finding some sort of venue to pick up fantasy football in like a week and a half. So all of the rosters may be set now, but here's the controversy. And this is what we get in the speculation that I talked about in the beginning, as far as everybody speculating about everything. And that is run rampant this week, especially with talks of cuts, because we know cuts were made and we know that the rosters had to be set as of Wednesday. But here's the thing. Nobody knows the names. Well, not everybody, apparently. And if you want, I'm not going to name any names. And I kind of see where some of the folks that are saying, let's not do anything until this is all verified. And so what I'm talking about is the fact that the NFL Draft Diamonds Twitter account put out a list of all of the names that were cut. And I'm not familiar with NFL Draft Diamonds. I've actually never even heard of them up until now, and apparently I'm among the few people who haven't heard of these guys, because they have 96.7 thousand followers on Twitter. So apparently I'm not, I'm just one of the few that never heard of them. But anyways, they've got a little XFL stuff going on, and apparently they listed the names of everybody team by team who got cut in that last round of cuts. So I know I said a couple of names on Twitter, only because of my gut reaction to the names made me sad. And again, I've been looking to see if this is verifiable. I know that there's so many other folks that are looking to see if it's verifiable. And I don't know, with that many followers, I don't know that they would be tweeting out stuff that's not at least corroborated by somebody that they know. So again, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not quite sure what the authority was that they released it. And I know that there's other folks that are out there that are saying that it's kind of not right, and that they're not going to say any of the names on that list until they can figure out who actually who leaked it and who actually has the full list. I know that Connor Folk, who's been nicknamed the Shefty of the XFL, hasn't heard anything yet. And again, with everybody speculating, who knows what's true. So we're going to keep a close eye out for that list. I mean, if nothing else, we know that by Monday, we're going to see some actual solid rosters, and maybe not depth charts, but I know and I said depth charts, but I don't know. Maybe even Monday's a little too early for depth charts as well, because I know that they've still got to figure out who's on their team. But here's the thing. Here's the takeaway from if you go to the NFL Draft Diamonds Twitter, see the list, click on their article and see the list of folks. There are some names that people had as starters. Not just, fringe roster players, but there's some names on there that people had as starters and as sleepers and as people to watch out for. So, really, when you look through this list, it has you scratching your head as to what you know. So this is why I say, and I've always said it, until we know who is on the team, rankings, anybody that gives you rankings right now, this early, are all just speculating, and the best of us too. I'm struggling on whether or not I want to put out rankings, only because I know that, again, things change so rapidly in the build up to this league that if I spend time doing rankings, and listen, John Ferguson, who I had on the show a couple days ago, or a couple episodes ago, he'll tell you as well that it's frustrating to make rankings only to have to throw them all out the window again. So I know everybody out there is thirsting for rankings. I know you guys want all the rankings you can get, and that's great. And we'll I'll continue to give you John's, because John is really chugging away at getting these rankings. But just understand that the early rankings probably won't mean a whole heck of a lot until we get a week out, until we see depth charts, until we see schemes, and until we see actual stuff that we can rank. Because right now we're really just going off of college stats and AAF stats and all that stuff. And so we won't even know how these guys react in this league until we see week one. So just keep these preseason rankings in the back of your mind for what they're worth. And really, it's just so you can get familiar with the names and maybe the comfort level of the experts as to how they'll produce week one. And just like John said in the show too, week one is going to be a crapshoot that he probably won't even take part in as far as daily fantasy is concerned, because you just don't know. And this week especially should prove to you that nobody really knows what's going on except for the people in the front office. So there's going to be a huge storm on Twitter over this weekend. I guarantee you there's going to be a whole lot more talk, and everybody's going to say they know something. But please do yourselves a favor before you click anything as true, and just corroborate. Like look around, do a couple of Twitter searches to back up what you think. Because again, this is the prime time for everybody to come out and say I'm an expert. Look at the Twitter accounts that have been tweeting the XFL for a while, that have had good knowledge and discern for yourself. And like I've said before, don't rely on me for breaking news. I'm not going to break any news for you, because let me tell you, the breaking news game, you just get more wrong now than you get right. And I don't believe in feeding any information that I personally have not actually talked to the source. And I don't hide behind sources. I'll tell you who I talk to, because the relationships that I've had in the media over the course of my life, you always talk to people, and I've very rarely had anybody want to remain anonymous with information, because then that just gets convoluted. You always talk to people outright, and if they want you to tell them or tell people what they're saying, they'll say, yes, go ahead. And if they don't, then they don't. Because all, anonymous sources, I don't know. I don't know. It just, to me, we live in a world now where it's too easy to click the wrong information out, and people will jump on it like mad. So, just keep in mind that when we know something official and when we have something to go off of, you will have it as well. And I want to see it from a league source. I want to see it from somebody that's affiliated with the league. But a lot like the fantasy football stuff, where Yahoo and ESPN, their customer service things are starting to say, we don't know. So until I see something from them saying, yes, we are, then we will go with it. But until then, I'm just not going to hold out hope that they're doing it. And I'm not taking the word of their customer service teams that it's going to happen. I know DraftKings did it that way, but then they actually followed up a couple days later and said, yes, we are. And the league announced it as well. So I'm still not seeing that from the likes of ESPN and Yahoo. So I know we started out this segment talking about roster moves, but I think this kind of dissolved quickly into a be careful what you read over the next couple of days, because there's going to be a lot of folks claiming to be XFL insiders that are going to try to be first with the news. So just beware. Keep your eyes on the rosters. Keep your eyes on social media for the teams themselves, because you'll get a pretty good gauge of who's still on the team by them tweeting out who's still on the team and videos of their players. So, all right, listen, we got a great guest. And I'm going to waste no more time till we get to her because we got to talk the Roughnecks. We got to talk the Houston Roughnecks and their fantasy options. So yeah, we're going to do that coming up right now. I have a very special guest on the line. She is pretty much the master of all things Houston Roughnecks. So she is Rachael Van Oranje. I think I got that right. Did I get that right?
You did good. You did good.
Thank you. Oh my God. Because no one knows how just debilitating it is to have your last name mispronounced than I do. So I'm glad I got that right. So Rachael, thanks for joining the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Well, you probably are super excited about the league getting started because this is more football right in your own backyard after the Texans go away, yeah?
Absolutely. And you know what Texas is all about, right? Football. So we're super excited on here for this.
Yeah, I do know what Texas. I was stationed in El Paso for about 3 years, so I'm familiar with Texas and all of its footballness.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So Houston Roughnecks, and I always want to say you have two Texas teams. One's the Roughnecks, one's the Renegades. Why two R teams to get us all tripped up when we're trying to learn everybody?
I don't know. I mean, Roughnecks, you're from El Paso, right? As far as I know, what I do know about the oil and gas industry is Roughnecks are the people that work in West Texas. So I thought it was a little odd that they chose that name for Houston. But I think they're definitely pandering to the Oilers, the old Love You Blue fan base. Dallas and Houston, they're definitely going to have a rivalry right off the jump just because it's Houston and Dallas and we hate each other. But I think they got the cooler logo. What do you think?
Yeah, I think of the two. Yeah, I like it because I do like the oil thing. Because I was a Houston Oilers fan because I was a Niners fan growing up, but I had an AFC team because I was young. I didn't know better, so I liked the Oilers. So yeah, so seeing a little oil thing again, I get nostalgic.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though with the Roughnecks. I've already gotten asked out at the Roughnecks training camp by some of the players. Sammy Coates made a joke that I was a Renegades fan because I have a tattoo. Stupid 17-year-old Rachael thought it was a great idea to get a tattoo of a little bandit on the back of my arm that literally looks identical to the Renegades logo. So shamefully, I'm covering the Roughnecks, but I look like a Renegades fan. Well, I don't know what to do.
Did Dallas look at your Instagram page and say, "Oh, that's perfect. We need that. That's our logo"?
They probably did. I will take credit for that, full credit for that.
Well, now we know where the Renegades logo came from. You can thank Rachael for that.
For sure.
But we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about Houston. So let's talk a little bit about this team and what you've seen so far through the early stages of camp and tryouts and stuff. What's the vibe like out there right now?
The vibe, man, it's really good vibes. Really, I was actually surprised at the chemistry of these dudes out on the field together. Like you would have thought that they've been together for years. Like they're just high-fiving each other, they're singing, they're dancing during practice. I mean, they made practice look like the most fun, I don't know, like CrossFit thing ever on the planet. Like they're so connected. And we even had a defensive player who proposed to his now fiance right on the field, and he wanted his teammates to be a part of that and to sit there and witness it. Like it's crazy how close these guys are. And let me just tell you, June Jones is quite a character. He at first he kind of scares me a little bit, and I think the players definitely, I wouldn't say intimidated of him, but they definitely respect the guy. But he's also a dude that you kind of just want to go pound some beers with at the local bar because he's got some great stories to tell. I can't wait to see what this guy does with his offense in a league that is so geared towards offense. But I think him in this offense is going to flourish. I don't know so much about the defense, to be honest with you, but that's another story. But big things are expected. The players, especially the offensive players that I spoke to, they're really excited to play in this guy's offense. And it's just, I don't know, it's great vibes.
Well, I mean, June Jones took the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the CFL from just the absolute joke of the league at 0-8 and turned them around, and they won 8 games. So they finished the season 8-8. So June Jones can work miracles with a group that he barely knows. And I mean, again, this is why I'm a little excited about the Houston offense, because any player, any coach that can do that with his players is somebody that I definitely want to watch. So, and you said not, the defensive players, that's okay. We're not here for defense. We're here for offense. So we're fine with that.
I think so is June Jones.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about that offense and some players to watch, because we're trying to figure out early in this season which fantasy players to keep our eyes on as we start drafting here in the next couple of weeks. So give us a couple of names at whatever positions you want to start with, of people we need to be paying attention to on Houston's roster.
Yeah, for sure. So right off the bat, I think I know, June Jones knows, everyone knows that Sammy Coates, he's going to be a force on this offense. Sammy Coates knows it. He was a third-round draft pick back in 2015 to the Steelers. He came out of Auburn. The dude played in an SEC title game. He played in a national title game with Cam Newton. I mean, the dude knows how to ball. There's no question about it. He put over 200 yards receiving and like 2 touchdowns in the Iron Bowl against Bama in 2014. And the crazy thing is he did that 200 yards all within 5 receptions. And then I think in a playoff game with the Steelers, he had 2 receptions for 61 yards. So my point is that Sammy Coates, I think he's going to be a big play threat. I think defenses are going to scheme for him and specifically him all season long. The very first practice I went to, obviously the players, they didn't have names on the back of their jerseys. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching these receivers run receiver drills, and Sammy just stood out in every single way you could possibly think of just from the get-go. I looked at my friend and I said, why is this linebacker looking dude running drills with the receivers? He's huge. And there's a lot of big wideouts on this team. I think it's clear that June Jones, he kind of prides himself on his ability to scout wide receivers. And there's a lot of big dudes on this team. But, I mean, he looks like a tight end out there, which is kind of ironic because June Jones, he doesn't even utilize tight ends on his roster. But, Sammy Coates, I mean, he's 6'1", 200 pounds. And I definitely think he's bigger than that in person. So the best analogy I could probably give you is like Zion Williamson, how he looks on the court next to a bunch of big NBA dudes. That's kind of how Coates looks next to DBs and other wide receivers. So another guy that I have is Khalil Lewis. I do think he's going to do big things on this team. The dude is fast as hell, and he seemed to have a really good connection and good chemistry with both Connor Cook and PJ Walker in the practices that I saw. He's a speedster. He was in that stellar Cincinnati offense back in college. And I think that he's going to just be an easy plug-in fit to Coach Jones's scheme here with the Roughnecks. I have a kind of a secret little twist. Charles James III. I know that he is in the NFL. He was a defensive back, but here's a little tip. I think he's going to be a receiver for the Roughnecks. I really do. And the dude here, he's a local fan favorite here in Houston. He made some big plays for the Texans when he was here. It put him in the good graces of many, but then he became nationally known as like this funny character on Hard Knocks. But the dude is a fighter. He's an underdog. He's fast as hell. And even though he's small, he has really, really, really good just in-game instincts, like some stuff that I just don't think you can coach. And to be honest, I think that he's going to make a good slot receiver in the XFL. So, I mean, also he'll be probably returning balls on special teams. But yeah, I think those are my 3 favorite dudes, I guess, as wide receivers. And they have a really good running back in Andre Rashard Williams. Initially you might think that this is a team that's probably not going to utilize running backs, at least not in the traditional way that we know, because if you know anything about June Jones, what they say about him in Hawaii, they said June would run it. June would pass it. That's what he does, likes to throw the ball. But Andre Williams, he's too talented, I think, not to be utilized. He's a big running back, not height-wise. He's only 5'11", but he weighs like 220, 225 pounds. He's thick. And he's got that low center of gravity. He's got loose hips. He can make those cuts you want. But he's also a power back that you can use on third down and, in the red zone. I think he was a Heisman finalist when he was in college. I know he rushed for almost 2,200 yards in a single season. and I think he's just going to ball out. And even though Coach Jones is not known for running the ball, he did have that tailback, Zach Line, who he rushed for like over, I think, 1,400 yards in 14 games. And I don't know, he broke some records back in 2010. So in every single training camp that I went to, the running backs, they were running all the drills with all the receivers. So in PPR leagues, which I think is what the XFL is going to be, this could be really good.
Wow. That
is that a lot? Is that a lot? That was a lot.
That's awesome. No, that's exactly. I mean, you don't know, but I was sitting here in absolute awe of just. I loved every bit of this knowledge. So I was soaking it all in and taking some notes myself because as a fantasy player myself, I'm like, okay, I like this. But let's talk a little bit about that quarterback battle. Is this going to be a battle? Is this something we need to keep an eye on, or is this Connor Cook's job to lose?
I don't know. I mean, that's the question. And I even tried to pry. I've tried to pry Coach June a couple times about it, and he won't make a definitive answer. The one thing I do know is that he says no job is safe. He likes competition. He likes whoever it is. Nobody get comfortable. Nobody think your job is safe. He wants everybody to get pushed. So as you know, the team got assigned PJ Walker, but then what do they do in the draft? The first pick that they draft is another quarterback, Connor Cook. So I don't know. Both dudes are really talented. Both dudes broke a lot of records at each of their respective schools. Both dudes are, I would say, traditional passers, dudes that are going to put it in the air. Obviously, PJ Walker, a little bit smaller than Connor Cook, but he is probably, I guess I would say, a little bit more athletic. He poses a bigger threat with his legs, but as we know, June Jones, he likes to chunk it up in the air. And, all the drills that I watched him run and everything, scrimmages and all of those things, you really can't tell who the starter is. And I don't know if June Jones is going to do the whole 2 quarterback thing. Is he going to do 1 quarterback? Like, I'm just not sure. It's so hard for me to tell, but I can tell you that both quarterbacks looked good with the offense.
So let's talk, because there was a list that just came out, and it was by it was NFL Draft Diamonds, and they released a list of a bunch of players that were supposedly cut. Now, as somebody that's close with the team, what's their cut process like? Have you heard anything about the cut process, and should we believe anything we see up until Monday?
Personally, I wouldn't believe anything I see until Monday, and that's just what I've been waiting on. Like, I've been waiting for a while to kind of get a better grasp of what you're asking me about. And I've asked the PR guy, Jay Lucas, he's a great guy over here. I've tried to pry information out of Coach Jones. He doesn't want to talk about stuff like that. So it's just been kind of I'm trying to poke and pry. And I actually thought that I was going to have an insider look at the final roster or a good look at it. And they did not give it to me. So I'm not sure. They're just very hush-hush. They're very, like, Bill Belichickian in that way. They don't want to talk about injuries. They don't want to talk about anything like that.
They're like, we don't cut anybody. Everybody's still on the team. Doggone it.
Yep.
Well, and I ask because there's a name on this list that I absolutely love from, his time with the Ticats and Jude Jones over there in the CFL, and that's Jalen Saunders. And on this Draft Diamonds list, he's one of the cuts, and I'd hate to see him go because he did work with June Jones in that Ticat offense, and he's just a stud of a receiver that I think could make some waves up there. Did you get a chance to see him, and like, do you think he's still on the team?
Yeah, I definitely saw him, and I even talked about him a little bit with the PR guy. He's a dude that obviously he bounced around the NFL quite a bit. And he does have that familiarity with June Jones there. And what I've noticed with like some of June Jones' staff, and I think he likes dudes that he does have that familiarity with. So shocking to me if he did let him go. And, he played in Oklahoma, which, runs a similar type of offense. Like, I don't see that happening. But if he does, then, that's a good get for someone else.
Oh, that's a huge get for someone else. Or he just goes back to the Ticats. I'm sure Hamilton would welcome him back with open arms because he was part of that 1-2 punch with Brandon Banks. And, yeah, It's sad because I see some of these guys and these names that I love, and then all of a sudden you see these cut lists and they're not there anymore. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we just take it with a grain of salt until Monday comes around and we all know for sure who's on the teams. But it's so hard because we want to speculate so much.
We do. There's just so much that's unknown still about this league and how certain things are going to happen, But that's what drew me to taking this assignment. Whenever ESPN Houston asked me if I would, cover the Roughnecks for them, it's like there's just that unknown factor there that just makes it extra exciting.
Well, and jumping on something that's brand new, there's just something sexy, especially as a journalist, about that, and taking ownership of something before there's even a play. I think it's what drew everybody to the AAF, and I think it's what's drawing all of us back into the XFL as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. That's why I'm here.
You're like, that's why I'm still at the stadium right now.
Yeah, I never left. They do play at my college stadium too, so that's kind of cool.
Do they really?
Yeah, University of Houston, TDECU Stadium. It's a pretty brand new stadium, actually. It's really nice. I want to say it's maybe 5 years old. Yeah, it's not very old. But they're playing there, and so they're going to have not only just people that love football here in Houston and Texas, coming to their games, but also they're right there on a college campus. So when these kids want something to do, what are they going to do? Go to a game.
Go drink at the game. I mean,
exactly.
That's pretty simple, right? It's not rocket science. But so what do you think the thirst is like for out there for football after the Texans are done? Well, they're done, but what's it like now? Are they moving on? Do they want to watch this, or is there still some trepidation?
No, I'm actually kind of surprised at the level of interest that I have seen from fans here locally. So Houston is a really, really big city, and it's a really big media market. But everybody who works in media here knows that Houston is not a good sports media town, as in they're kind of lackadaisical. And I don't know if that's because it's such a transient city. So many people live here, that were not born here. They moved here for work or whatever. So it's kind of weird with the local sports teams. But I think because this is so new, everybody that's here right now can feel like they're a part of this team. Whereas somebody might have moved here from, Detroit or something for work, and they're Lions fans. Well, they don't have an XFL team. It's all right now. So I do think that there's a lot of hype, a lot of interest, and I think that it's going to be really successful here, which honestly is kind of a surprise just to anybody that works here in media that they would jump on it the way that they are.
I mean, and that's good too, because like you said, with you not being able to have a team in the XFL yet, I mean, this is it. This is the closest thing you're going to have to an XFL team, especially being in Houston. And for me, I kind of questioned at first, especially when they made the announcement a couple of years ago that they were moving into NFL cities. I thought, well, that's kind of a bold move, like the meme from Dodgeball. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out. But yeah, I mean, so far with Seattle, with Houston, and a couple of other cities that I'm seeing are really jumping on this in a way that I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I was actually surprised about it too. I was thinking why wouldn't you put a team like in, say, San Diego? They just lost a football team. You would think that they'd be hungry for something like that. Or maybe Oakland or, one of those great college football towns, that don't have a professional team, something like that. But I'll tell you something else about Houston. Right now, the local fan base, the fans that are fans of Houston teams, i.e. Astros fans and Texans fans, and then the recent decline of the Houston Rockets, like how they're playing right now, this city is so desperately thirsty for anything positive to come out of one of its local teams. So there's high hopes that June Jones and this offense is going to produce something that's going to be worth going and seeing, because they have just been deflated lately.
Yeah, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Houston sports. I can understand the need for something to smile about. But so you had a chance to actually be at some of these scrimmages, correct? You watched them firsthand?
Yeah.
So tell me, what are the takeaways of this new system? Like, what are you seeing? Do you like the kickoffs? Do you like the rules being implemented? What was the atmosphere like at these scrimmages?
Yeah. So it was kind of funny initially early on, because you see like the kickoff and everything, and these dudes have been playing football their whole lives, and you can just kind of see the look on their face and the way that they're lining up and stuff, and it just, you could tell it's like, do I go here? Do I What do I do? And you could see early on, like I said, June Jones, you want to drink a beer with him, but he can also be intimidating as hell. And I heard him get pretty angry and pretty frustrated several times. But they quickly caught on. And, I've talked to Coach Jones about a little bit about the rule changes, talked to Sammy Coates about the rule changes, and they all actually loved them. Like, I was like, you've been coaching, for a long time. These are some big changes. What do you think about him? Do you hate him? And he was like, no, I really like it. And, he loves offense, and the whole league is geared towards offense. So everything has just been taken really positive. Like I said, it's just great vibes out there on the field. It's almost weird. It's almost like too good. Like, I'm like, what's something, like, why are you guys so happy?
You shouldn't be happy playing football. This is supposed to be a grinded out sport, right? No, not the game that you grew up playing. This is hard-nosed football. But I think I agree with you too, and I really can't wait for it all to play out and to see it actually live, especially that overtime. You guys got a chance to see the overtime play out, right? During the scrimmages, they did that for you guys?
No, actually, I did not see that. They may have done it at one of the ones that I wasn't there at, but I did not see that at all.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that shootout mentality. That's going to be a really. We probably may never see it. I mean, I don't know how many overtimes we're looking at in the XFL, but yeah, that shootout. I think that's a really great idea, and that's something maybe the NFL might stand up and take a look at.
Yeah, well, they definitely, with the CBA coming up, the negotiations are going to be happening pretty soon in the NFL. I definitely think that there's been too much negativity voiced by coaches and players about the current overtime rules. I definitely think they're going to make some changes. And, I mean, you're kidding yourself if you think that they're not going to be watching all of the stuff that the XFL is doing and taking notes.
Oh, they're already watching. You got to think that they've got eyeballs on what's happening right now, because this is going to take the league by storm. And there's so many big rules that are being changed and I guess updated and taken a look at that they're going to end up. You're going to see some of this stuff happening in the NFL before too long.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the other things that I love about this league, right? Is that what Vince McMahon is doing in Oliver Luck, they're basically saying we're almost like the anti-NFL. Like, everything that everyone has bitched about for years, about everything that the NFL does wrong and everything that they want changed, we're going to do it. Like they're like the Saints coming in and just kind of just seems like they're doing everything right. So I love it, and it's really exciting. I can't wait to watch it.
Neither can I. And so what's the next for you? What do you actually have going on with the team? What are you doing with them over the next few days?
Yeah, I just got an email. I haven't really opened it, from Jay Lucas, and he's telling me the next media availability coming up this week. But I'll definitely go to whatever they'll show us. They don't obviously let us see everything, but whatever little glimpses they will give me, I will be there.
You're like, I'll take it all. Just give it to me.
I will take everything that they will let us have, for sure.
I mean, that's got to be crazy. I know that they're working closely with the media because they obviously want to implement this. But yeah, I heard that even the beat writers are having trouble getting accurate information sometimes too.
It is, and I mean, I've been standing on the sidelines, like, talking to one guy, or like one of the PR guys for the team, ask him a question, and then I'll overhear a coach talking to someone else, to the left of me about the same thing, and they're saying a different answer. So it's been kind of confusing. And then I talk to, there's other media people out there, people that I know and I've worked with and stuff, and they'll be like, hey, do you know when the final roster cuts are coming? And then one guy will be like, oh yeah, it's coming Tuesday, and another guy will be like, oh, it's coming Monday. And it's like, we've been hearing that all week. Like, for the past 2 weeks, we've been hearing that they were coming before that they actually were. And it has been very hard to gauge some accurate information, for sure.
Yeah. And that's a frustrating thing with all of us Twitter folks too, because, and I said it in an earlier segment, and it's sad because everybody wants to be first. And I right. Honestly, I don't want to be first. Like, I don't care if I'm not breaking news, fine, whatever. It's just, I'd rather have well corroborated stories that can actually, not knee jerk reactions. And so when everybody's jumping on every piece of information they can find, I'm like, guys, slow down, man. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way. That's a really good way to be, because you put out any inaccurate information in social media, we'll definitely let you know it.
Oh, they'll eat you alive.
They will eat you alive.
Eat you alive. And then you got nothing to stand on. But well, okay, so we talked a lot about players, and that's exactly what we came to do. Is there anybody that's a little farther under the radar that maybe we should be keeping our eye on? Some other guys that are way below the radar, like some of the running backs that we got. Is how about Henderson, D'Angelo Henderson? How's his outlook looking?
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird with the running backs on this team because, like I said, almost every single thing I've seen the running backs do on this team, like practicing and stuff, running drills, was always with wide receivers. Like always. They are doing everything that the wide receivers are doing. So, like I said, from a fantasy perspective, this could be really good or it could be really bad. Like I'm expecting these running backs to be utilized a lot in the slot and, bubble screen passes and just little short maximum intermediate routes, just kind of cutting across the field. I don't see this team running the ball a lot, but if they do, it's probably going to be in the red zone, keep it safe. But this is a team, like, the focus is on the wideouts. And the running backs, they're probably going to be used a lot like wideouts. He likes running backs that can catch the ball. That's
all right. I'm having PPR leagues only anyway, so that works for me and all the people that play in mine. Right? You can be, you can not be. I mean, the way Alt Fantasy Sports has it set up right now, you can set your own, the own default for your points. So you can have it as a non-PPR. I don't know why anybody would, but my league's going to be PPR. It's just, there's no other way around it.
Yeah, it has to be. And there's such, you don't have that many players to choose from. So it'll be really interesting to see how I can't wait to start.
Oh, I can't wait either. Are you going to play? Are you going to try to get in a league?
Oh, for sure. I'll definitely try to get in the league, and I'll definitely, I'll see what's up on FanDuel, with some just weekly type stuff. I love all of it. I'm a fantasy, honestly, I'm kind of a junkie. So I commissioned 2 leagues this year in the NFL, and I played in 4. And on top of that, I was just playing weekly on FanDuel and DraftKings, like left and right. Like my whole Sunday was just consumed, like in my phone and on my laptop, trying to win. Emphasis on trying. Yeah, no, and look, when you go deep into the weeds, I played CFL, I played AFL, I play. You're worse than me. Oh God, I'm. I got a fantasy football podcast, so yeah, I'm pretty bad. True. Yeah, I'll definitely be listening and taking some notes from you. We got a lot of good guests like yourself coming on, so you take their word for it. I'm the facilitator. I'll let the experts take it, but yeah, it's all good. Well, Rachael, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, but I really, really appreciate your time, and I'm so thankful that you came on to give us some Houston Roughnecks to pay attention to, because, like I said, as this league starts to get ready to go and geared up, these drafts are going to be happening, and people are going to need to know these names, and like I said, who better to deliver them than the folks that are talking to them and around them all the time. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and anytime we can do it again. Absolutely. I look forward to hearing your podcast. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming this week, actually. I'm going to start on it, and I might just have to have you on as a guest too. Hey, I'm ready. You just give me a call. You know my Skype now, so we're good. I know your Skype now, and I know how to use Skype, so we're good. All right. Well, take a second to tell everybody where they can find you on social media and follow all your good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. My handle is @GameDayOJ. It's pretty much my handle on everything. And I'm much more active on Twitter than I am on Instagram. And if you're happen to be in Houston or you're in Houston, I do a radio show here locally on the weekends on ESPN Houston's 97.5. And then I also host a sports TV show on Sunday nights. It's on Channel 2 called the Houston Sports Show. And, just follow me if you want for some funny takes. I think I'm pretty funny. Rachael Villagomez. She is the Houston Roughnecks, I guess, expert. I'm just going to call you an expert. I know you probably won't accept the title, but I'm going to take it for you anyway. So no, I'll take it. I'll totally take it. Follow her on socials, everybody. She's a great follow. Again, Rachael, thanks. Thank you so much.
And so we close the book on yet another episode of the XFL Fantasy Central podcast. Episode 4 is complete. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And a huge, huge thank you again to Rachael Van Oranje for joining us. Houston Roughnecks, your one-stop shop. Make sure you follow her at GameTimeOJ on Twitter, because she, like I said, has a ton of knowledge about the Roughnecks that she loves to impart on you. So Game Day OJ. I said game time, game day. Game Day OJ. Yes, that OJ, like that. Yeah, follow her on all of her socials to get all up to date. And again, Listener League, leave that review. We got a spot left for you if you want it. And then on Monday, I will announce everybody and everybody that's in the Listener League. And then if you're already in the Listener League, pay attention, because I'm going to send you the link and we're going to get finalized on that process. But yeah, by all means, keep your eyes and ears open until then, because there's going to be a ton of stuff going on. I may do a special emergency episode on Monday, just because the rosters come out, just because we're going to find something out. So keep your eyes open on the channel. And if you've already subscribed, you're going to know, because it's going to hit your feed right away. Again, if you're listening to this on YouTube and you want to listen to it on your favorite podcatcher, find it on Apple, find it on Google, find it on Stitcher now, find it on Spotify again. And we are a proud member of the XFL Newsroom family. So thank you, XFL Newsroom, for hosting this podcast as well. We are deeply in your debt for helping to spread the word about XFL fantasy football. So, all right, folks, that'll do it for the episode. Episode 4 is complete. So until then, folks, let's make some money.